Okay, so I'm just going to show off a quick setup for an Overworld Bunny Revival. Got some fairies here. I don't have any Moon Pearl. I also don't have flippers, which it doesn't really matter whether or not you have them. It just means that you're going to be in fake flippers if you don't have flippers as soon as you revive in the water. So this also requires Aga access, but otherwise that's the only requirement: Aga access and a fairy. And this setup is a lot more consistent, I think, than maybe people realize, or maybe I've just found a consistent setup. So actually, that was pretty good RNG, but I messed it up. He actually spawns fairly frequently at the bottom of the cliff. So there we go. That was the second try. I'm just doing this all live because this is how easy this setup is. He seems to spawn fairly frequently at the bottom of the cliff, particularly when you screen transition. That enemy in the water there. So now I'm in Overworld Bunny Revival. I'm normal Link. I could go grab Kiki. This particular save state is right before attacking Ganon, so I can't show that particular thing off. But you can do anything you want. You could get to the west side Dark World if you had the correct item requirements from here. I think that this might be useful for going to Pod if there's like a glove on Pyramid Ledge, or I don't know, there's something on the Hylia Island that's very important, like boots. I could see wanting to use a fairy revival here because it is just such an easy setup. So I'm actually going to warp back and give this another shot. I might not get it, but so to explain what happened there, if you die on the exact frame that you're over water, I think there's just one frame that you can take damage before you return to land. And if you die on that exact frame, then you'll be revived over water, and that activates the Overworld Bunny Revival glitch. So the issue normally is that you have to rely on enemy RNG to have damage in that area right as you're jumping in, which is usually very difficult. But because the enemy spawns right at the base of the cliff, you can just jump on top of them, and there's no frame perfection required. It's technically still a frame perfect glitch in the sense that you are taking damage on the frame that you're right over the water. It just doesn't require frame perfect inputs. You just have to not be an idiot like I did on that first setup and hop off at the wrong point. So, but you can do the frame perfect one, and I just do that sometimes because I'm impatient when practicing this glitch. So if he spawns somewhere that's not right at the base of the cliff like there, then I might just try to time it. And I almost had it right there. Oh wait, actually I might have had it. Did I just take damage? I think I did. I think I got it. I just forgot to damage myself before trying it to get myself down to half a heart. Yeah, so there we go. I just got it twice in a row. So even the frame perfect thing, I think, is not quite as hard as maybe people make it out to be with a bit of practice. And trying it out on different RNG patterns and just working on your timing a bit. So this was all done live. This isn't my first take. This is my second take only because I screwed up my first one pretty royally by taking a death on land, and I just didn't want to do that take. But anyway, my point is that I didn't like do this 50 times and then show you the best one. I just got what was that, 3 basically fairy revival setups back to back to back, and I only failed one of them. It's maybe not that consistent, to be honest, but the best thing to do is, so there you go, he spawned at the base of the thing again. Is the best thing to do, I found, is to just screen transition back and forth until he spawns at the base of the cliff, which seems to be fairly frequent. So he's not at the base of the cliff, he's somewhere off to the left probably. And that also speeds up his cycle. So if you don't want to try for the frame perfect setup, then this will speed up his cycle so that he respawns more quickly too than just standing there waiting. And then you also don't have to deal with that bombing guy. So yeah, that's not it, but you could still do the frame perfect one if you had good timing, which I was a little late there. Okay, so that's it. Have fun with that. As far as I can tell, this glitch allows you to have access to every item location in the game, with the exception of Swamp Palace, which you only can't do because the swamp won't stay drained when you go to the Light World and back, or screen transition to try to get the Overworld Bunny Revival glitch again. So you can't do that. You can't do Turtle Rock, or Spike Cave, or Hookshot Cave, because there's no water to set up an Overworld Bunny Revival over there. You could do Spike Cave if you had all the crystals, and you could dungeon revival inside of Ganon's Tower, and you haven't defeated Agahnim, but that's not possible in just using minor glitches in a randomizer anyway, because there are dungeons that because of the logic of what other dungeons you can't do, and the final one that you can't do is Skullwoods. So you can't do just the very back part. You can do the 2 front parts because everywhere is accessible. I'm not sure why I can't use items right now. I think it's because I fell. I think if I take damage, yeah, there we go. I'm not really that familiar with Overworld Bunny Revival state, but anyway, there you go. Have fun with that and get everywhere possible. All right, and then one last thing I want to mention, because I had this little map here at the corner of the screen. So let me just make this a little bit bigger. So these are all the locations you normally can't get to without the Moon Pearl. What this gives you access to is everything except for Swamp, and just the back half of Skullwoods. So there would still be, potentially you could get both items there as long as this is a pendant. You wouldn't need anything else there. And then you can't do any of Turtle Rock. You can't do Spike Cave or Hookshot Cave, and you can't do Spike Cave. But everything else is possible. Some of these things are very difficult, like the Fat Fairy, Pyramid Fairy, whatever you want to call her, can be very difficult because you either need the Mire, which is actually very easy, or you need to Fairy Revival over here in Swamp Palace, which can be slightly more challenging than doing this Fairy Revival, but still totally doable. You can do Mire area by doing a similar Fairy Revival setup in that area over there, and I might show that off if folks are interested in that too. But you also don't need flippers or the Mire for that either. You can just do that pretty easily using the Murder Dactyl that spawns right there, and it's very consistent as well. You can get inside all of these locations and check all these items, either by coming from an Overworld Revival state, which will allow you to be Link on the inside and then will turn you back into a bunny when you leave. Or if you're already a Super Bunny because you checked some other location and then left again, you can still check these locations by either being boosted into the doorway or by mirroring on the exact frame that you enter the door, which is another bunny glitch that is hardly ever used in Rando, except for maybe sometimes people check the Mire shed with that. So I wanted to show this off because I thought it was impossible because of what was in the paste bin. It made it sound like the RNG was just like TAS only. But as you can see, it's really not that difficult. And I don't know if that's because my setup is a new setup. I really don't know. That would be kind of cool if this was new. But I would love to see this updated on the paste bin and also on location trackers like these. Because you can see here, it even indicates that you can dungeon revival inside of Ice Palace right now. We don't have the Moon Pearl, but it's showing it dark green because I can dungeon revival. But technically, if you're going to show that, shouldn't you show everything else too, and then leave it up to the player whether or not it's worth their time and effort to do something like that? Okay, have fun.